So this is going to be a quick product review / guide of the cheapest John boat motor. I've had this motor for over a year now, and I would recommend it to anybody that has a John boat and needs to power it and put an engine on it for less than $500. So this is a Tide Longtail mud motor. The engine is a 6.5 horsepower Predator engine, and the kit is from SPS Swamp Runners. It is a small kit, and their small kit is for 3.5 to 7 horsepower engines. So for your throttle, you have what they call a thumb throttle. So this is what you hook up to your regular throttle via a brake cable, and it's operated by your thumb. It also comes with a kill switch, so that way if you're running and something goes wrong and you fall overboard, it'll cut the engine off, so that way it'll stop running. Right there is just the little setup that I use, so when I'm trolling around, I don't have to have the full pressure of the motor on my hands. It's sort of supported by that paracord. It's just a few loops and knots with a carabiner, and it helps keep it at a certain height that I like it at. So on the engine, right there you have your throttle. That's by your throttle stick. You have your choke, and you have your fuel. Right there's the fuel switch. It's the black lever there, and that shutoffs the fuel. So that way I do this whenever I'm coming into the boat dock and I run my engine out of fuel, so that way it keeps the carbs clean, and it normally starts up first or second try every time when I go out the next time. The throttle cable is ran through the handle, goes out the back, goes around, and connects to the throttle lever right there. You have your on-off switch right here, and then you have your pull cable. That's your fuel tank up top, and then your exhaust is out the back. It mounts right to the boat right here. It's fairly simple. I also have a rubber mat on the back just to help it stay there so it doesn't slide or anything weird. With this mud motor, it comes with Zerk fitting, so that way it's easy to grease. This mud motor kit is easy to maintenance. So here's another view of your throttle cable. You control it with your thumb or the inside crease of your thumb. It's very easy to operate and very easy on your hand. So these are some of the positives that I like about the mud motor, and especially the SPS mud motor. If you get any mud motor kit, go with the SPS Swamp Runner kits. Now this one is a 6.5 horsepower kit and motor. The boat is a 1436 Alumacraft. It pushes it around 12 miles per hour. As you see, I have a deck on the boat, so it does add a little bit of the weight to it. Now this small kit is around $400. The Predator engine you can get on sale for $100. So in total, with everything, this complete setup is $500. So the positives of this motor is that it runs very shallow, it is very inexpensive compared to regular outboard motors, it's easy to maintain and fix, so if you break a prop it's only $8 or $10 to get a new one. You have many different props to choose from depending on the size that you want and what you're using it for, and assembling it yourself, you know how everything works, so if something goes wrong you can easily fix it yourself and you don't have to call a mechanic or pay extra money to have it looked at and serviced. Another positive about this longtail mud motor is that when I go to store it, I can flip it up on my boat deck, and when I throw my tarp over it, it helps the water slide off the sides and not pool inside the boat. This kit also comes with great instructions, and the guys over at SPS Mud Motors are great. Luckily, I do live pretty close to their store, so I was able to go in and talk to them. Now with SPS, I like them a lot because of a few different reasons. One, they were right by me, so I didn't have to pay for shipping. I was able to pick it up. But the major reason was the transom mount. Their transom mount bracket is very large compared to the other mud motor kits that are online. It's a lot more sturdy and it keeps that long tail secured to your transom. You go looking at other transom mounts and they do not look that way. They're very shallow, very thin, and they don't look like they'll get the job done. Another good thing about this engine with the Predator engine is that the fuel cell is on top. You don't have to have a separate fuel source. And with this 1 gallon tank that sits on top of the engine, it lasts me forever. I can go 4 or 5 boat trips without having to worry about fuel. I could run this engine for about 45 minutes to an hour, and that is about how long it'll run at full throttle until you're out of fuel. It takes a very long time to run out of fuel. Now, there are some drawbacks of having a motor like this. One of the drawbacks is that you do not turn very easily. You do have a 6 or 8 foot long pole sticking out the back of your boat, so it's not too easy to turn around with. So that goes both ways. If you're just trolling around and you're in a tight canal, you may need to flip that tail inside the boat to turn around. And if you're running and you got to make a sharp turn, it's fairly hard to do also. When I was first looking at these mud motors, I thought that it may be too loud. It seemed loud in a lot of the other videos that I saw on YouTube, but I was surprised at how quiet it was. Don't get me wrong, it's not quiet, but it's not as loud as I thought it would be. I don't have to wear ear protection whenever I'm running it, and it doesn't bother my hearing at all. Now, I will be writing an article or a guide on my website at jtgatoring.com. Go ahead, look over there if you'd like. I'll be putting some information up on there. There I'll have some comparisons of other motors and have everything written out so you can compare certain things. With this motor, you also have some flexibility in what you want to do with it. You can personalize it to you. You can put the handle on the right side or the left side. You can move the motor forward or backwards. You can get stainless steel accessories, or you can just stay with the regular accessories that you have. Another thing that I use this motor for is going through thick brush. It does go through thick vegetation. The one thing that it does not do good on, grassy type weeds, where it's very thin and long, because what that does is it wraps around the prop where it goes into the shaft and it starts clogging it up, and it binds up that shaft to where it'll shut down the motor. So you'll have to swing the tail back around into the boat and start picking off all the weeds, and then put it on the back side and then turn it back on and start running again. It'll go through lily pads, anything that you really need it to, but if you're going through heavily matted grass, you're most likely going to get caught up. Another thing to keep in mind is when you set this up, you want that prop to be behind or right at your wake, where it meets in the middle behind your boat. That's where you want your prop to ride. But then again, if you go with this mud motor, it comes with the instructions to tell you everything about this motor that you need to know. This is just an overview of what I think of it and why I think this is the most affordable John boat motor. So feel free to comment down below with a question if you have one. Go ahead, send me an email, visit my site, check out that article. I'm sure you would like this motor. It is different. It's not like an outboard, but it's something that you can maintenance yourself and hot rod if you want. Make it a little stronger, beefier, give it more horsepower. There's a lot of things you can do to customize this engine. So again, thank you for watching. and I'll see you next week on JT Gatoring.